In this video, we're looking at cubic graphs. Cubic graphs can intersect the x-axis up to 3 times. So when we have a positive cubic graph, it starts at the bottom left, ends up in the top right, and it can look something like that. If it was a negative graph, it will start in the top left and end in the bottom right. So a negative cubic graph will look something like that. The first question here says sketch the graph y equals x minus 3 times x minus 1 times x plus 1. So a graph crosses y when x equals 0, and it crosses x when y equals 0. So if we look at when y equals 0 first, that's where it crosses the x-axis. So it'll be 0 equals x minus 3 times x minus 1 times x plus 1. So what are the solutions? Well, what makes the first bracket 0? That'll be 3. What makes the second bracket 0? 1. What makes the third bracket 0? Negative 1. So it's going to cross the x-axis at 3, 1, and negative 1. So it's crossing the x-axis at 3, at 1, and at negative 1. And it crosses the y-axis. It crosses y when x equals 0. So when x equals 0, we'll have y equals negative 3 times negative 1 times 1. A negative times a negative is positive. 3 times 1 is 3. So it's going to be crossing at 3 on the y-axis. So to sketch this graph, we just need to get the shape right. It's a positive cubic, and we know it's a positive cubic because, well, all the x's are positive. So it's going to be x times x times x. If we expanded these 3 brackets, the x cubed term would be positive x cubed. So we can just draw this graph. It's a positive shape, so it's bottom left to top right. And we're going through our points. And our cubic looks something like that. One for you to try, so pause the video and give it a go. So again, it will cross x when y is 0, and it will cross y when x is 0. So when y is 0, we'll have x can be 1, negative 1, or negative 2. That's where it crosses the x-axis. When x is 0, we'll have negative 1 times 1 times 2. A negative times a positive is negative. Negative 1 times 2 is negative 2. So it's going to cross the y-axis at negative 2. So we have crossing y at negative 2, crossing x at negative 2, negative 1, and positive 1. It's a positive cubic. Again, x times x times x, positive x cubed. So it's starting at the bottom left and ending in the top right. Here's another graph. So y equals x times 2 minus x times x plus 1. So again, crosses x when y is 0, crosses y when x is 0. So if I say when x equals 0, it's going to cross the y. So we'll have 0 times 2 times 1. 0 times anything is 0. So it's going to go through the origin. It's going to go through 0, 0. When y is 0, we'll have 0 equals x times 2 minus x times x plus 1. So what makes this equal to 0? Either x is equal to 0, or 2 minus x is equal to 0, so x would be 2, or x plus 1 equals 0, x would be negative 1. So now we know all the points of intersection. So we know it crosses at 0, 0. It goes through the origin. It's also x is negative 1 and x is at 2. Is it a positive or a negative cubic this time? So if we expanded these brackets, we would have a negative x cubed. We've got x times negative x times x. A positive times a negative is negative. So that'd be a negative cubic. So this time we're going to start in the top left and end in the bottom right. So we're starting up here. We're going through the axis 3 times. So we're going down, back through the origin, and back down. One for you to try. Pause the video, give it a go. So crosses x when y equals 0, crosses y when x equals 0. When x equals 0, we're going to have 1 times negative 2 times negative 3. Negative 2 times negative 3 is plus 6, positive 6. So it's going to cross the y-axis at positive 6. And when y equals 0, x could be what makes the first bracket 0, which is 1. The second bracket 2. And the third bracket is 3. So it's going to cross at 1, 2, and 3. So it's crossing the y-axis at 6 and the x-axis at 1, 2, and 3. Is it a positive or a negative cubic? So we've got a negative x, a positive x, and a positive x. A negative times a positive is negative. It's a negative shape. So we're starting at the top left. So we're going down and ending in the bottom right. And another one. This time we've got a repeated root. So we've got x times x plus 2 squared. So x, x plus 2, and x plus 2 again. So the same thing when it crosses x when y is 0, crosses y when x is 0. So when x is 0, what do we have? We've got 0 times 2 squared. That's 0. And when y equals 0, what makes this 0? So x can be 0. We know it goes through 0, 0. Or the other bracket 0, x would be negative 2. So it's only hitting the x-axis 2 times. And that's because we've got a repeated root. We've got the same root twice. So how do we draw that? So we're going through 0, 0, and we're going through, not 2, negative 2. Negative 2, 0. So we've got 2 times it's crossing the x-axis. The repeated root, on the repeated root, we're only touching the axis. We're not going through it, we're going to touch it. So It's a positive x cubed. All the x's are positive. X times x times x is a positive x cubed. So we're starting at the bottom left. We're only going to touch this. We're not going to go through the x's. We're going to come back down straight away. So we're going up to the axis, back down, and then up again through the second intersection. So on a repeated route, we don't go through the axis, we just touch it and then go back down. One for you to try. Give it a go. So sketch the graph of y equals x minus 2 squared times x plus 1. So when x equals 0, what do we have? We've got negative 2 squared, which is 4, times 1, which is 4. So y is 4. And when y equals 0, either the first bracket is 0, so x would be 2, or the second bracket is 0, x is negative 1. So it goes through 0, 4, and negative 1, 0, and 2, 0. Which one's the repeated root? The repeated root is a 2, and it's a positive shape. So we're starting in the bottom left, starting down here. So the negative 1's not the repeated root, the 2 is. So it's going straight through negative 1, back down to the 2, but it's a repeated root, so it doesn't go through it, it just turns around at that point. So it goes to the 2, but it goes back up. And another one, sketch the graph of y equals x cubed minus 4x. So this time it isn't factorized. We're going to have to factorize it ourselves. So we could do when x is 0. When x is 0, y is clearly 0. But when y equals 0, we've got 0 equals x cubed minus 4x. So to find out where it crosses the x-axis, we need to factorize. So we can take an x outside. So we'll have x times x squared minus 4. And then we've got the difference of two squares. X squared minus 4 is x plus 2 times x minus 2. So it's x times x plus 2 times x minus 2. So what can x be? X can be 0, negative 2, or positive 2. And now we've got all the information we need. We know it's a positive cubic. X cubed is positive. So it's going to start in the bottom left and end in the top right. And we know it crosses at 0, 0, and negative 2, and positive 2. Positive cubic, so starting in the bottom left, no repeated root, so it's going through all of them, ending in the top right. One for you to try. Pause the video, give it a go. So again, this one goes through 0, 0. It crosses, so when x equals 0, y is 0 as well. So we know it's going through 0, 0. But to find out where it crosses the x-axis, that's when y is 0, we need to factorize. So we can take an x out again. That will leave us with x squared minus 6x plus 9. So then we can put that into double brackets. And what multiplies to make 9 and adds to make a negative 6? It's 3 and 3, negative 3 and negative 3. So we've got a repeated root. That's the same as x times x minus 3 squared. So we've got a repeated root here. So x is 0 or x is 3. For both of these brackets, x is 3. That's a repeated root. So that means at that point, it's just going to touch the x's. It's not going to go through it. So we've got 0, 0, and we've got 3. It's a positive cubic. The x cubed term is positive. 3 is the repeated root, not the x. It's not x squared, it's just x. So we're starting in the bottom left. 3 is a repeated root, so it's just touching it. And then it's going up, ending in the top right. One more set of questions. This time we've got a root repeated 3 times. So sketch the graph of y equals 2x minus 1 cubed. So again, it crosses x when y is 0, crosses y when x is 0. So when x equals 0, we're going to have negative 1 cubed, negative 1 times negative 1 times negative 1, which is negative 1. A negative times a negative is positive, and a positive times a negative is negative. So when x is 0, y is negative 1. And when y equals 0, what makes the bracket equal to 0? That's 1/2. So x is 1/2. There's only one solution. There's only one point where it's going to touch the x-axis. So let's draw our graph. So it's a positive cubic. So it's going to start in the bottom left, goes to the top right. And we've got to go through these points of intersection. So negative 1 on the y-axis and 1/2 on the x-axis. So how can we only go through the point once? So it goes up to the point, and then it keeps going up. So it goes flat for a minute and then keeps going in the same direction. One for you to try. Pause the video and give it a go. So you've got a negative cubic this time. Got a negative x cubed, a negative cubic. When x is 0, y is 1. And when y is 0, x is 1. It's a negative cubic, so it's going from the top left to the bottom right. So it comes down, it goes flat for a minute, and then keeps going in the same direction.